Hey everyone, it's time for my most requested video. Today I'm going to show you how to tab your medical coding books. I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, national speaker, blogger, podcaster, and YouTuber, and I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I am here every week posting 2 new videos to help you succeed in a medical coding career. How to tab your medical coding books has been the most requested video I get. I personally don't tab my books. I haven't even since my examinations. I only tabbed certain areas in my exam because I'm one of those people that I have very clumsy thumbs, and I think the tabs just kind of get in the way of me finding things faster. But for a lot of people, they swear by them. So today I'm going to show you the tactics for how to tab your books. There's lots of cool pre-printed tabs you can buy on sites like Etsy, but keep in mind that you're gonna need new coding books every year, so is that really an investment you want to make every single year to tab your books? Maybe it's just worthwhile for sitting for your exam if you just want to invest that money the one time. Otherwise, you can buy tabs for pretty cheap at your Walmarts, Office Max, Office Depots. These I got on Amazon. I'll link them below in case you want to get the same ones. And I also suggest to make sure that you have a good set of Sharpies. These are the ones that I keep on hand as well. They're the very fine tip Sharpies so that you can write real clearly on your tabs. If you're sitting for the CPC exam or any other credentials through the AAPC, you can only have the AMA edition of the CPT manual, and they actually come with their own tabs. So when you flip open the cover, they will have all the tabs already laid out for you, so it's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm going to show you how to put them in anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and rip this page out so that it's a little bit easier to access the tabs. One other tip worth mentioning is a lot of coders have problems with the spines on their books, that the pages slip out. One thing you can do is take these little tips and you can cap them somehow. Some people will put little rubber caps on them, or you can even just get hot glue and hot glue the spine end to the next coil, and that way your pages won't slip off. The first tab that we have on here is our E and M, which is our first section of CPT, so that's where you place your first tab, and you just kind of go from there. Now, one thing worth mentioning is it does take a while to tab your book, so you may just want to make sure that you have a beverage handy. So here's our E and M tab, and that goes right there for E and M. And then next is our anesthesia section. So we find our anesthesia book tab, and we stick that just a little bit further down. After that, we have surgery. There's our surgery tab. You can kind of fold them over a little bit and line them up to make sure that you're putting them at the appropriate width down, because you don't want to leave too much of a gap. And you just kind of keep going like so. You'll probably notice when you're done that there are some leftover tabs. If you want, what I would suggest is maybe taking one of these and write notes on it, and then tab any pages that you have written notes on. Or if you have certain illustrations that you think you might need, make sure you put like a little tab on there that says illustrations and point to those illustrations. That might help you as you're selecting codes in your examination. So here is my completed and tabbed CPT book. Like I said, pretty self-explanatory. There are some people that like to put the tabs right where these little white spots are in the CPT book. I prefer to just put them in order. Just make sure you leave enough space that you can see all of the tabs and what the words on them are as you're flipping through. Now when it comes to ICD-10-CM manuals, there's a bunch of different publishers you can choose from. There's the AMA, AAPC, Optum, TCI, Bucks. people really like those Bucks editions. I haven't had one in a while, but there's people that absolutely swear by them. I have 3 different versions that I can kind of show you. I have the AMA edition. It does have, one of the things that I like in it is the guidelines at the beginning of each section of that of that ICD code. So when I go to the section here for neoplasms, for example, the guidelines for neoplasms are right at the front. So I don't have to flip to the front and hunt down all of the chapter guidelines specifically to neoplasms, because they're right there in front of that chapter that I'm looking at. I think it also cuts down on tabs when you get those, because instead of having to do all of the different tabs for the guidelines in the front, you can just tab that whole chapter and know that the guidelines are in the front. So this ICD-10-CM book from the Coding Institute does not have that. So when I go to that chapter on neoplasms, it doesn't have those guidelines, which means I need to flip all the way to the front of the book and go, oh my gosh, where are my guidelines for my neoplasms? Actually, you know what? I think this one isn't even in the front. I think this is on the back for this edition. The guidelines are in the back. I had to tab them when I took my CRC exam. So these guidelines are all the way in the back. And if I was looking for ones for neoplasms, see how long this is taking me? Guidelines, septic shock. Did I go past them? Which chapter is this? Is this just the general guideline? Yeah, this is general guidelines. Okay. I'm looking for chapter 2. No, that's chapter 5. I passed it. There it is, neoplasms. It was right in front of me. Okay, you see how much longer that took me versus just having it at the front of the chapter? This one that I'm currently using is from Optum 360. I think they make a great ICD-10-CM manual. They have the guidelines in the front, and they also have the guidelines at the front of each chapter. So they're in 2 spots. So that's kind of awesome, because if you want to just read the entire guidelines, you can read them in the front, and then they have them here at the front of each chapter as well. The font size is good. There's nice color illustrations. I can't remember if this one has notes pages on it or not. I always like when I have a couple pages for notes. If not, you can always write extra notes like on the inside tabs and stuff. Yeah, that might be the one fault, I think, of the Optum 360 book, is I don't see any notes pages. But there's plenty of other places that you can write notes within your coding books. I've even demonstrated before, your HCPCS manual oftentimes has whole pages, and there really aren't a lot of HCPCS questions on the medical coding certification exam. So you might as well make use of that real estate that you have in your HCPCS book. So I'm going to tab my Optum 360 book. I'll probably put 1 tab for the guidelines, and then I'm just going to put the chapter ones on there. I actually made myself a listing of all of the different stuff I want to make for tabs. So I will either type this up and leave it in the description of this video, or I will make some kind of like toolkit. I'm probably just going to put them in the description, because I don't know if I have time to make it fancy looking, so that you know, if you're writing out tabs as well, what kind of tabs I'm using if you want to mimic the same thing. Now, if you're watching this video in the same year that I'm making it, it's currently 2020, and there are 21 chapters of ICD-10-CM, but starting 2021, which will start for the October 1st of 2020, for when the 2021 ICD-10-CM codes take in effect, there will actually be 22 chapters, because they added in chapter 22 for codes for special purposes, which I believe right now are things like vaping and some of the codes that we have for COVID-19. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my tabs off camera and kind of stick them around my table here, so that you don't have to sit through the entirety of me writing out all of my tabs. Alright, so the tabs for my ICD-10-CM book are all ready. Now again, just make sure that you place them appropriately so that you can see the entire tab. You want to keep them close together but not overlapping, so that you can't see any of the information you've written on my tabs. I'm also going to apologize. I have the world's worst handwriting, so I'm sure your tabs are going to look much more prettier than mine are. The first thing I'm going to start tabbing is my alphabetic index. I used the small tabs to do the letters of the alphabet. Make sure that when you're writing them out, that you write them the appropriate way forward, so that when you insert your tabs, the letter is facing upwards. Alright, so there's the alphabetic index. It looks like a big old rainbow outside my ICD-10-CM book. Some people will also do the alphabetics, the A through Z's, on the external causes. I think it's not a big enough section that it warrants doing a whole other alphabetical tab set, but you're certainly welcome to do that if you want. I personally, the way I do it, I'm just going to put a tab on the whole section. Now I'm just going to go through all the larger tabs that I made for the different sections and chapters and appendices, and then I'm going to put those in my book. Okay, so that is my fully tabbed ICD-10-CM manual. The only tabs I have left are starting October 1st of 2020. You're going to need that special purposes tab, which is the one for codes V00 through U88. And also make sure you make a couple of tabs that say notes on them, so that way if I find a spot where it's really blank and I go, oh gosh, this would be a great spot for me to write some notes in here. Like maybe I would decide this is right here, there's a big blank page on both sides, this is a great spot to put notes. I could put a tab right up here on top, and that way I know where my notes are. Now people tab different ways. Some people like to take their alphabetic sections and stick them over here. Some people like to put their appendices on the top. You can tab whatever way makes most sense for you. So if you want to put your guidelines tabs up here, you want to put your appendice tabs up here, that's fine. I would suggest if you do have a book that has the guidelines in the front or in the back and doesn't have them at each section, you might want to put the tabs for the guidelines at the top, or you might want to take like your appendices and put those on the top instead to kind of separate them out. Another thing I want to mention on the subject of tabs is you don't have to get tabs that are as wide as the ones that I used. If you want to use tabs that are a little bit shorter, that's fine. One thing I will say though is you cannot use post-it notes as tabs. So if you go into your exam and you have post-it notes for tabs, you will have to take them out because post-it notes aren't allowed in your coding manuals. So if you're on Amazon and you see any of those giant post-it note tabs where it's a tab and then a big post-it note that you stick inside, those are not allowed for your exam, especially if you've written all kinds of extra notes and stuff on them. So there you have it. I now have a fully tabbed ICD-10 and CPT manual. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you will get alerts when I post all of these helpful episodes. I will see you in the next episode, and until then, just keep on coding on.